Rosh Hashanah Daf Chof Tes, how's everybody doing? According to Reb Zera, according to everybody, a person that hears the shofar, he has to have kavana to be yotze the mitzvah. Reb Zera also passing like Reb Yossi, that also the person who's blowing the shofar has to have kavana to be motzi everybody else. The shliach tzibur, the person who's blowing the shofar for the community, he has kavanah for everybody. Says the Mishnah. It says in the pasuk, when Moishe lifted his hands by the war against Amalek, as he lifted his hands, Klal Yisrael beat the enemy, and when his hands came down, they started losing. What does that mean? Is the war dependent on Moshe Rabbeinu's hands? The Pshat says the Mishnah, and this is an Agadah to Mishnah, that when Klal Yisrael looks towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they surrender their heart to their Father in heaven, then they're able to be misgaber and beat the enemy. And the same thing applies to Nechash and Achoshes. Moshe Rabbeinu made the copper snake, and whoever looked at the snake was healed. The same idea, looking up to Rebbeinu Shalom, realizing that everything's from him, that causes the healness. The Kohanim also are chayiv in a shofar. Now you think there's a havamina, since Rosh Hashanah is compared to Yovel, and Kohanim are parted from Yovel when it comes to a Kohen who's magdish his zchus, they could redeem it, but it doesn't go out and back to the Kohanim like everybody else's field. There's a few other halachas that are not dafka for Yovel, but they are chayma. A Kohen could redeem it forever, and it goes back to them in Yovel. Zchus, where everybody has to wait 2 years to redeem, Kohanim could redeem it right away. The point is, since the Kohanim are not in the concept of Yovel, I would think they're parted from a shofar, they're chayiv in shofar. Cheresh, shayt v'katan, they don't have das, so they can't be mitzi other people, the chiyuv of shofar. Androgynos, who's a mixture of a zchus and a keva, we don't know exactly what he is halachically, he could be mitzi another androgynos, but a tumtum is just a suffix what he is. We don't know. Perhaps he's a woman, perhaps he's a man. He cannot be mitzi anybody else because of that suffix. A chatzi eved and chatzi ben chayr, that is a slave owned by a partnership, and one of the partners released him, so now half his body, so to speak, is free, the other half is still a eved. The Brisa says, just like Rav Nachman, that he cannot even be mitzi himself, because as he's blowing the shofar, half the sound that comes out of the shofar is the sound of an eved, and that half cannot be mitzi his free side. Unbelievable halacha. Ahava, who's the son of Reb Zera, says that a person who's yotze a mitzvah, he could be mitzi another person. So if a person was already yotze the mitzvah shofar, could be mitzi another person because of arvos. Klal Yisrael arevim zelazeh. However, that's only in the brach of a mitzvah, such as Halal, Megillah, but not in Birkas HaNehenim. So a person who already made a shahakal on something, made a hamaitzi on something, cannot be mitzi his friend. There's no arvus on food. The other person doesn't have to eat that particular food. Lzecher is matter when it comes to the bracha of hamaitzi and Bari Pri Hagafen, hamaitzi of matzah and hagafen when it comes to kiddush, because yes, it's Birkas HaNehenim, but you cannot make kiddush without that bracha, so it's considered a mitzvah. And you're also permitted to make a bracha for the chinuch of the children. And with that, we finish Perek Ra'uhu Bezdin, and we start the fourth and final Perek of the Masechta, Perek Yantiv. When Yantiv of Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, in the Beis HaMikdash, you blow the shofar, because there's no shvus, there's no issur d'rabbanan that perhaps you'll come to carry in Rosh Hashanah when it comes to the Beis HaMikdash. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted that we have a three-way machlokes according to the Tanna Kama, that even if it's a temporary bezdin, you could blow in that temporary bezdin. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it has to be the big bezdin Hagadol of 71 Sanhedrin, which was in Yavna. According to Chachamim, any bezdin that's permanent, you could blow the shofar there. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told the Bnei B'Seir, who the Gdolei Hadar, let's blow the shofar today on Shabbos, let's talk about it afterwards. Once they blew the shofar, he said, you can't talk about it now because it's too late. If we say that you can't blow the shofar on Shabbos, people say that what we did was a mistake. How can we do that? And the reason is because it's only a issur d'rabbanan. It says, Kol meleches avodah lo yisasu. You cannot perform a melach on Shabbos. Now, Tekiya Shofar is not a malacha. It's a chachma without a malacha. It's a talent. The same thing applies to Redias Apas, removing lafas, pitas off the wall, the bread off the wall of the oven, which theoretically should be usher to do once Shabbos comes in, because it's the Gemar Malacha, finishing up the Malacha, but yet you're permitted to do so because it's a chachma, not a malacha. Have a wonderful day.